What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Paying. Today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about OT7 Quanny and basically just explaining why I think he can really be a star in the rap game. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things. It helps me out a ton. This will be kind of a random video and a shorter video. At least I hope. I'm crossing my fingers because I do like to yap. So maybe it'll end up longer than what I really expect. But this is a video I just wanted to get out there just to kind of get out there because I kind of want to hitch my wagon to OT7 Quanny. I kind of want to be a part of the wave when it really eventually comes because I do believe that he has all the tools at the moment to be a major star in rap. And now obviously OT7 Quanny is kind of already like a big name on the internet, so it's not like I'm talking about a nobody who has 1,000 monthly listeners that nobody's ever heard of and I'm just like, nah, this guy's really gonna be a star. Like, a lot of people are already major fans of his, so it's not completely out of the blue, but I just do believe that he will be a mainstream star and he'll be the first mainstream street Philly rapper since like Meek Mill. And, people like to bring up Uzi, but Uzi's not really like a street rapper in the way that like Meek Mill and OT7 Quanny is. So I just wanted to kind of make this video to put this out there. And I am biased towards OT7 Quanny because I do like his music, but I'm not going to get on here and just say that I think he can be a star just because I like his music, because there's plenty of people whose music I like who I know just probably will never burst into like the tippity top of the mainstream world. I just really, well, I'm not saying Quanny will either. I just do believe that he has potential to at least be a mainstream star in rap and be a name that's known all throughout the rap community, not just kind of in a, internet community, in a pocket, in a bubble where he is very, very lit. Don't get me wrong. He has millions of views on his stuff, and we'll get to that later. I just do believe that he will be somebody that can be a major player in the mainstream rap space. Firstly, I think we have to kind of look at the success slash like notoriety that he's gained so far in his kind of short-lived career. Right now, at the moment, he has around 1.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And he has about 7 uploads on his YouTube right now. They're all music videos, and they all have millions of views. 1 or 2 of them might have more than 5 million, but all around the range of at least 1 million views. And there's only 7 videos on his YouTube, and they're all music videos, obviously. And I think that that's kind of the story of his career so far, is that he has a lot of buzz, he has a lot of success right now, but there's just not a lot out in terms of like music or really anything when it comes to OT7 Quanny. He's just gaining a lot without having to put a lot out, and I think that that's kind of a good sign. The online buzz and popularity that OT7 Quanny has right now is something that's typically representative of an artist with like a really solid discography already. Somebody that has, maybe a few projects under their belt, an album and a mixtape, or at least like one song that's really, really hot on the internet, one song that's really a hit. And don't get me wrong, like Quanny has big songs like, a Dog Talk or a I Did It, but he doesn't really have any songs that are like super, super crazy viral hit songs hitting the top of billboards or anything of the sort, or anything like really charting on the billboards. He just kind of has songs that have some notoriety. And what he's at right now in terms of popularity and buzz is very similar to somebody like a Sleazy World Go a couple years ago when he had that song Sleazy Flow that was super viral and it was everywhere and it hit the charts and all that stuff. It was just like one of the hottest songs that year. His buzz is probably pretty similar to what that guy had back then, except he's doing it without really having a hit song or something that's distinctly blown him up, like one specific album or one specific song, one specific verse, one specific feature. He's just kind of been rising as the time has gone on, which honestly at the moment I do think is probably a good thing, because if you know OT7 Quanny or like you're familiar with him, you've probably known or heard of at least like a couple of his songs. It's not really like one thing specifically for most people, at least when they talk about OT7 Quanny. Now maybe you just like one specific song or just heard one specific song, but in general that's not how everybody's like first impression of him is. It's not like, okay, he just has this song and oh, that's OT7 Quanny that made this song that's super viral. With guys like a Sleazy World Go or a Spot 'em Got 'em, they had one really, really big song that, people were making TikTok trends to. It was, approaching the Billboard charts. People were talking about it. It was being played in the clubs. Other bigger rappers were making features, or not making features, making remixes of the song. Like, the song overall was a lot bigger than the artists themselves. A lot of people heard the beatbox song and heard, the DaBaby remix and other people's remixes and didn't know who Spot 'em Got 'em was, didn't know that he made that song. Or same thing with the Sleazy World Go guy. They heard the song, but they didn't know who made it. The song was much more popular than the artists themselves, and that can be a good thing. I'm not sitting up here and saying that that's a bad thing when somebody's song is bigger than the artist themselves, because that's a way to get in the door. That's kind of equivalent to me as like sticking your foot in the door before it closes. That's what that is, because they know of you technically, but they didn't know that they knew of you, if you understand what I'm saying. While on the other hand, I think what OT7 Quanny is doing right now is he's getting to the door, but he's doing it in a different way. He's not sticking his foot in and then trying to squeeze the rest of his body into the door. It's taking him a little longer to get into the door than like a Sleazy World Go or a Spot 'em Got 'em with their really, really big hit songs. But when he gets to the door, he's just going to be able to open it with his hands and walk straight in. He's not going to have to stick his foot in there and then get in there and maybe get the rest of his body and try to squeeze in there, because that's kind of what happens when you have really one big song. People don't really know you yourself, and then like maybe they'll give you a chance after they hear the really big song and they like it. They'll be like, oh, I like this song. I'll give him a chance and I'll listen to the rest of his discography. That's typically how that kind of goes with people who blow up off of one song. But I think the way that Quanny's rising right now, he might have a moment of extreme burst in popularity that might come for him, but I think when he goes and enters the room, when he opens that door to enter the room, he's just going to be able to walk right in, and people are going to be like, okay, that's OT7 Quanny, we know him. It's not going to be like oh, this guy blew up, who is this guy? Oh, that's who made this. I don't think it'll be that type of situation. Going back to the theme of doing a lot with a little, Quanny doesn't even have a real project out yet. He just has like a whole bunch of singles and features, and he does have like these compilation albums, but basically it's just him like putting his leaked songs together or putting a whole bunch of already out music and putting it together. So to be able to gain the buzz that he has without having a hit song, without having an album that a lot of people really love or a mixtape that a lot of people love, without having, a trend on TikTok that's blowing him up, or just having a whole bunch of songs that are running TikTok, it shows you that he pretty much has everything you need to blow up. He just hasn't had that one moment, that one opportunity yet. And all it really takes for him at this moment, in my opinion, is one hit song or like one hit feature or one really, really good mixtape, and he's going to be out of here. I think OT7 Quanny has all the tools to eventually get to a really big level if he stays on the path that he's on right now and drops, a mixtape here and there or an album or gets a feature with a bigger artist. I think that in the near future, the popularity that he could realistically achieve is similar to someone like Von's before he passed away. And I'm not talking about, their reputation or how people talk about them or him being similar to Von in any way musically or any of the sort. I'm just saying that level of popularity that Von was at when he passed away, I think that could be realistically in his future, in the near future, in, less than a couple of years. He has all the tools that you kind of need to be a star, in my opinion. Firstly, he has a very recognizable sound, and also he kind of has like a lot of really, really hard-hitting one-liners and punchlines throughout his music. His music just overall feels really raw as well, really raw and really real. He's pretty witty when he's rapping a lot of the time, and also his beat selection is some of the best that I've heard over the last couple of years, especially because like it just sounds a little different. It doesn't have to sound like you're reinventing the wheel, but he does pick beats that sound a little different. It sounds like an OT7 Quanny beat, and that's a really good quality to have, in my opinion. He also kind of has that like nonchalant flow that's really started to kind of build itself up in hip hop. A lot of people are adapting this flow, kind of like, a V's type of flow, where it's really nonchalant and they kind of laid back. We've seen people like, Caribou kind of try to replicate this kind of flow. So it's something that's also very popular throughout the community of rap. And also his music just feels authentic. Like it sounds real. Like when he's rapping, it's like, okay, I can believe that. It's very believable. He feels authentic. The stuff he's rapping about, it sounds like something that could have happened to him a week ago. It doesn't sound like, a rich guy sitting somewhere who's like just rapping about stuff he did 15 years ago, or it doesn't feel like somebody who's never done the stuff that he's rapping about. It feels very real and it feels very authentic, and authenticity is king in rap. I don't care what anyone says. I know being fake has its benefits. I know pretending to do certain stuff or pretending to be a different person than what you are has its benefits, but at the end of the day, authenticity rules in rap, and it always has, and he has that. And that's a major factor as to why a lot of people really, really like him and really like his music, because they feel like, man, this is some real stuff I'm listening to. This is real. This ain't that, mainstream just rap about anything, rap about gangster stuff just because. This is real. This is real stuff that I'm listening to. And he also seems to have like, a personality that the internet can really kind of like be interested in and really dive into. He gets into a lot of that street stuff and the dissing and the disrespect that all the fans love to see. So I think that also plays into his favor. Also, I forgot to mention he's done all this without even being signed to a major label yet. And as soon as he gets a label with some real money behind him, some real marketing behind him, a real team to really promote him as an artist outside of just whatever he's been doing on his own, I think that will play a major factor as well, because we know how well labels can manufacture artists, even if they're not good in the first place. And Quanny's gotten to this point without having anything really behind him in terms of like a major team. So once he gets that, I think that will help him a lot tremendously. And he also does have a very recognizable look with the face tattoos and the braids that tend to be, let's just say, not freshly done more times than not. So that's also playing into his favor. But really, one thing that I think is kind of underrated when it comes to being an artist that's blowing up, that is a street rapper, sometimes at least, is having a sound that's a little bit polarizing. And what I mean by that is having a sound that some people think sucks. I think that's kind of a good thing sometimes. Now, hear me out. I know having people think your music sucks is generally a bad thing, but just hear me out. I think with OT7 Quanny, he has music that most people can like and vibe to, right? But there's just a certain pocket of people that hear his music and think he's trash and think he's horrible and don't understand why people like his music. And I think that that's a good thing, because regardless of who you are, when you make music and you get to a certain level of popularity, everyone's going to give their opinion on you. That's, look at me, like, duh. But there's going to be people that don't like your music just off rip, but it's good that it's a better thing to not like somebody's music and be still interested in that person. Like, that's a good thing for an artist. If somebody doesn't like your music, but is still talking about it, that's a positive. That's a plus sign. Okay? That's good. If somebody doesn't like your music, but they just ignore it, then that doesn't really do anything for you. Because at least if somebody's talking about your music and they're saying, oh my gosh, how do people like this? This is trash. This is the worst music I've ever heard. He sucks. His bars suck. His flow is terrible. How do you guys like this? At least that conversation still brings something in for you. Now, that's not what most people are talking about with OT7 Quanny. I feel like most people at least somewhat enjoy his music or can pick out songs that they like Dog Talk or something like that, or I Did It, or New Money. Like, there's certain things that most people can pick out and enjoy. But if you do have that aspect of you that's like, there's a subsection of people that aren't going to like you, it's better for those people to still want to talk about you. Still be like, I just don't get it. Listen to this flow. This is terrible. Rather than them being like, oh yeah, that guy kind of sucks, and just moving on. The only things that I can see really stopping him from becoming a star, because at the moment his growth seems to be pretty linear. Like, it doesn't look like there's any end in sight, and he hasn't even dropped a project or had a hit song yet. The only thing I could see really getting in his way is the thing that gets in the way of most street rappers, and that is going to jail or dying. And I know that's harsh to just kind of throw out there, but it's just the truth. That's just how the situation is. There's no point in trying to sugarcoat it. We're all adults here, or if you're not an adult, you're pretty close, right? You're a couple years off. No, like R. Kelly. Like, I'm not trying to do R. Kelly math and be like 15 is 18 if you think about it, because she's almost 16, and 16 and 17 aren't that different, and 17 is 18. So 15, I'm not trying to do R. Kelly math, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like, we're all mature enough to understand this concept of street rappers going to jail and dying. And I just really do believe that he can be a mainstream rapper out of Philly from the streets. I do believe that. I think that could be in his future. I'm not saying he's going to be Drake. I'm not saying he's going to be one of the most famous rappers in the world, one of the top 10 most popular rappers. But I think in that lane that people like to talk about, the Lil Durks of the world, I think he could be there in a year or two. I'm not saying he's going to be as big as Lil Durk. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be selling 100,000s first week or anything like that. But I think he could be a name that's relatively popular in the street rapper space that gets associated with a Lil Durk, a Lil Baby, or something like that. I could see him as a guy selling 30, 40K first week in maybe even a year's time with another project with more hype behind him. I could see him reaching these levels of mainstream awareness, being on these tracks with these other street rappers. That's all I'm saying here. I think he can be a mainstream rapper. I really do. And I really do see that in his future. I'm not going to sit up here and, again, say he's going to be, Lil Baby selling 215K or Future selling 230K. I'm not saying that. So don't get in the comments and say, you really think OT7 Quanny is going to be able to do a stadium tour? Like, I'm not saying that. Just saying I think he could be a mainstream guy selling 30, 40K, 50K, maybe. Right? And then from there on, who knows? I just think he really has a lot of potential. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to make this video. and say. I just had this on my mind recently, and I thought that it was nice to put it out there. Just want to make a quick short video and talk about OT7 Quanny. Like, in my opinion, the run that Bossman D-Lo has been on over the last couple of months of having like a lot of really, really hot songs, but none of them going like top 10, 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 or anything like that, I could see OT7 Quanny having a run like that. I think all he really needs is one feature from like a Kodak Black or something, or a Lil Baby, which is probably a little unrealistic at the moment, but a feature from like an artist similar to that stature that he just like bodies. And I think he's out of here. I think he's really out of here. It would be like, lighting a fuse that's going down to a bundle of dynamite. That's really how I see his career at the moment. He's just one big moment away. But maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Let me know down below in the comments. If you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Make sure you have a good day. Be safe, be blessed. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.